Hey y'all, Kentucky Farmer here, and welcome back to a special episode. Today we are going to do a map/mod review on Pleasant Valley 17. So I've been seeing quite a few various maps popping up now for FS17, and you know, a lot of people are doing Rattlesnake Valley. There's a few other 4X maps that are kind of coming up, and honestly, I saw the initial release of Oklahoma, and I know it's still, an early beta, and I just haven't been that impressed with any of the ones that I've seen until now. So Pleasant Valley came out, I think it was back in January, and they've been doing regular updates to it. But they still have a long way to go to get this up to where Pleasant Valley was in FS15. And but I really like it kind of as it is right now. And so I wanted to do a video and walk everyone through, what has been changed and what features the map has. All right, so I'm just starting off here on a new save, and literally creating a new save right now. So we're selecting the Pleasant Valley map. It says Pleasant Valley 2017 is an expanded version of Goldcrest Valley to fill a 4X map. PV17 includes 5 farm sites, each with their own BGA, individual silo, inventories, and more. And so we'll take a little closer look at that here once we get in. Alright, so here we are. It's just dropped us at our normal starting position. And you'll notice this looks kind of familiar, but a little different. So this is the normal starting point on the Goldcrest Valley map. However, they did make a few modifications here. So what I'm going to do in this video is we'll start by walking around the normal Goldcrest Valley part of the map, and we'll look at some of the differences. And then I'll expand out and go around and cover some of the new sections of the map that they've added. Basically, the map's 4 times bigger. That's why it's a 4X map. It's 4 times larger than the stock map, but they left Goldcrest Valley basically the same, and it's at the core of the map. And so there's like this extra border now that goes all the way around it. So you start off with the same sort of starting equipment. Now this is on hard, and so we've got 15,000. In fact, let's slow time down to 1x here. So we've got, we own fields 15, 14, and 12, and field 15 is ready to harvest, and we've got our harvester sitting there, and 14 is ready to cultivate, and we got a tractor with a cultivator sitting over there. It comes with a plow now. I don't think it came with a plow originally. And we've got our tractor with a grain cart, and we've got another tractor over here on field 12, which is ready to seed that field over there. So let's see, I've got a mod installed that allows me to walk a little bit faster. Let me go ahead and turn that on. There we go. Alright, so now we can explore the map a little bit quicker. And we'll go into flight mode here eventually too, and fly around and look at the map. So this is obviously one of the big things that they've done. They moved the grain silo over here to this side of the road, which is kind of nice because I was noticing when I was setting up courseplay courses to come in here, you wind up doing a lot of like weaving around over there to get lined up with the silo, and it was kind of a tight area, so this actually helps to have this over here now. And then they moved the chickens, so the chickens are over here now too. And I kind of think one of the reasons for that, I'm not too sure, but I think they actually moved the house further back into the hillside. Like the chickens used to be right here where the house is now, and there was like that rock right over here or something, and that's gone. So I think they shifted the whole house over a little bit to make this area larger here. And so this is the same barn that's been there with the starter pallets in it, and this is the same as what's been here before. This is new, so they extended the gravel area over, and they put this here. This used to be the one that was over here, and then they extended this out and extended it back and put this one over here. So it's a little bit bigger. The island's gone, but you got more room to work over here now. So I'm going to go ahead and start flying here. So as you can see, here's our normal fields. So let's take a look over here. We still have this barn here where we can sell our hay, grass, and whatever. Here's where the silos used to be, and they're gone. And now it's just the storage facility up here. They didn't really change too much. Let's see, field 19, basically the same. Field 24 is the same, no change over here. Field 23 is the same, still has the angle to it. Field 22 is the same. So no big changes over here. 18 still looks the same. 11 still the same field. Now here's one thing that they did change, the sheep area. I absolutely love this. I really did not like the sheep area the way that it was. It was too hard to put stuff around it. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out where to put placeables up here. And so now you got this nice big flat area here where you could put a placeable structure if you want. They moved this building a little bit further back here. The sheep area itself is still the same, except they cleared out this area here. And they put in that wool rack for storing wool pallets. Personally, not a huge fan of those because it's a lot of work to pick the stuff up, put it on the rack, just to then take it off the rack and put it on a trailer. Like, I would rather just have a trailer sitting over here and load stuff onto the trailer, you know, as I need to clear space there. This building, however, having a little silo over here that can store both grass and hay is pretty awesome, because really with the sheep, that's all you need to store is grass and hay. You can put either food type in there, right? So, you know, it's nice to have that. Then the other thing they did is they flattened out a pad over here so that you could put a barn right here and store equipment. So if I were to turn this back into a hay field like I did in my Let's Play series, then, you know, I can keep some of my sheep-related stuff over here and my hay-related stuff over here. Alright, so then let's keep exploring around here. So over here we have the BGA, and this is completely stock. This is exactly like it was in Goldcrest Valley, so there's no changes over here to the BGA. We'll keep heading uphill here. Let's get a little more altitude. Alright, so here's the pig area. As you can see, more changes. So the pig area itself, where the pigs are, is still the same. You know, the feed trough, water trough, all in the same spot. But what they did change, they flattened out this area over here, cleared it, and they put in, let me come in for a landing here. They put in this placeable that allows you to make pig food pallets. And so you put your protein in there, you put your base grain, which is corn, and your root crops in there, and then you put your grain, which is either wheat or barley, in there, and it will produce pallets of pig food that come out along this conveyor line. Now, again, they put in these pallet racks, and so you could then, you know, take a front loader or a forklift or something and put the pallets up here. But honestly, when you get into large production for pigs, I really don't like this system. It's a lot of work to manage these pallets, and this is a big footprint for this building. So personally, if I were to play this map, I would probably open the map up in Giants Editor and delete this building, and then use, let me find the placeable here. I would use this pig food mixing station here. I don't have enough money, but it's it has a much smaller footprint, and I like the fact that I can dump trailers into it and then put a trailer under it and it fills the trailer. So no messing around with pallets, right? So that's one thing I would change about this map. I would ditch this and put in more of a traditional mixing station. Another thing that they changed that I absolutely love is they moved the shed further back into the hillside. The shed used to be like right here, and this was a really tight area to try and get equipment in here and to put equipment into the shed. So I'm glad that they bumped that back a little bit. And then they added this, which there's no signage, but I tested it, and this stores straw and pig food. So again, why are you making pallets, and why do you have pallet racks to store them if you've got a storage facility over here that you can store pig food in? It just doesn't make sense. So I would ditch that and put in a normal mixing station. You can mix up your pig food, store your extra in there to keep the mixing station running, and then, you can pull your food and your straw out of there and use it to refill for the pigs. Pretty good process. All right, let's take off again. So then, we've got field 7 over here, which is basically the same. No real change. You got this Goldcrest Pacific grain, still the same. Fields 8 and 4, still the same. Field 5, still big, massive field. We got field 9. Let's come in for a landing here. I want to show you something on this field. So, another thing about this map that I haven't really talked about yet is the fact that it has more fruit types, meaning there's other stuff you can grow on it now. This is actually sugar cane, so we can grow sugar cane now. That's a new one. Most of these look stock. This one here, this is either oats or rye. I think there's a bit of an issue in the game right now in that oats and rye use the same plant texture. So when you're looking at it in the field, you can't really tell the difference between oats and rye because the plants look the same. So, all right, let's take back off again and keep touring around here. So here's field 16, still basically the same thing. And field 20, still the same thing over here. Not too sure what that is. This could be cotton. Yeah, it's cotton. Okay. So one thing to note, because there's more types, you now have to page between these two, and you'll see some of these won't be colored. So if it's not colored, then that means it's on page 2, and now that it's colored, it's right. If you leave this on page 2 and you come out and come back in, it'll have all the wrong types and the wrong colors, so just flip back and forth and it will correct that. So yeah, field 20 is planted in cotton, so this is what little cotton looks like in the game. Take back off again, and let's come over here and look at 31. That looks like potatoes. So no real changes over here. Still have Mary's Farm, still have the livestock market. And we'll come down here. There's field 30. That's probably corn. Yeah, it looks like corn. That looks like soybeans. So one of the changes here in the default game, so okay, this is millet. This is a different grain type that we haven't seen yet, but if you notice, you now own field 28 by default. So we didn't used to own field 28. And then here's the other big difference is look at the cow yard. So this section here is the same, where the cows actually are, and then the silo or the silage clamp and that barn, that's all the same. But now you actually have starting equipment over here. So we've got the Sampo Rosenlu and a seeder and a cultivator and a slurry tanker and a little Brantner trailer, another tractor, front loader arms and a bucket, a plow. And over here we've got the power food mixing station, which awesome. Love having this thing over here. And we've got another silo. And we've got another barn over here. So I absolutely love this modification to the map here. In fact, in my Let's Play series, this is what when I was going to move into cows, this is exactly what I was going to do. I was going to steal this section here and expand out my farmyard so that I could have a few more buildings and have a mixing station and all that stuff. And, shrink the size of Field 27. Because Field 27, if you remember, had, this weird jog up here and then another jog down here. And so it just kind of made sense to cut off that part and use it for buildings. So I think this change is fantastic and probably should have been done in the stock game. And so we've also effectively doubled our farmyards, right? So we had the stock one where we started, but now you have the cattle farmyard where this is basically its own farm. So if you were playing on multiplayer, you could basically have, one player down here running this farm and one player up at the normal starting farm running that one. So then we've got these two fields here that are still basically the same. Well, obviously this one's smaller, but this field over here is the same. That's probably wheat or barley, I think. And then, we still have our Morgan's Massive Motors over here. The town itself hasn't really changed. This field hasn't changed. Let's see what this one is. All right, so this field is actually hemp. So that's a hemp crop right there. That's a new one added to the game. No changes here. Here's our little resort. That's all still the same. This looks like... Yeah, so this is sorghum. So that's another additional crop type. Alright, so here's one thing that did change. You notice the railroad lines used to go through here. The railroad is no longer through here. It's been rerouted. It goes over to a different part of the map now. And they put this in, which is actually a wood chip sale point. And so here's where the rail line comes back, right? Because this is where it originally used to be, but now it kind of comes back over here from running over to the additional parts of the map. And over here we've got our sawmill. So this is still the same. You still have a sale point there. And we've got a sale point over here, and you can sell by putting them in here, but you can also put your logs up here, and you put wood chips in here, which is counted as fuel. And then this sawmill will actually now output board pallets, which is like a board pallet is like a bundle of lumber. And then you can take those board pallets and you can sell them and make a little extra money from that, because then they're worth more than the unprocessed logs, right? And there's also some other buildings that we'll get to that actually consume board pallets to make other things. And that's kind of, for people who have used Pleasant Valley maps in the past, that's kind of the claim to fame of these, is that it's a lot of... It covers the whole series of production, in the sense that you start with raw goods and you take them to one place and you use them to build something, and then you take those goods from that place and you take them somewhere else and you use them to make something even more complicated. And so there's a lot of that involved in it. Now, in this particular version of the map, they don't have a lot of that extended stuff in here. Like, I think, if I'm remembering this correctly, back in the Pleasant Valley for FS15, you could, for example, there's like a building that would make breakfast cereal. I might be making this up, but I think it was in there. There'd be a building that makes breakfast cereal, and you could drop grains off and it would convert the grains into breakfast cereal. But before you could do that, you actually had to build the building. And so in order to build the building, you would have to supply it with cement and supply it with so many board pallets of wood to actually construct the building, and it would take time. And then, once the building was done, then you could drop off grain and produce cereal and sell the cereal for extra money and stuff like that. So that's kind of one of the things that they do in Pleasant Valley. You'll have lots of fill types, right? Because there's lots of different products that you're working with. So this map is definitely at a early access beta sort of stuff, because it's got some of that, but it doesn't have a lot of that integrated into it yet. But even as it is, I think it's a pretty solid 4X map. So up here we got fields 1 and 6. They're basically the same. No real changes up here. And we'll keep going. Here is one of the changes that you'll notice. The rail line used to come around behind the BGA and up over here and then connect here. And so this extra loop now goes into the new extended part of Pleasant Valley. But field 2 is the same, field 3 is the same, field 4 is the same, the fuel station up here is still the same. So now that we've covered that part of the map, that's basically the core, right? So that's the stock, nearly stock Goldcrest Valley map. The only real differences is the livestock areas have been, in my opinion, significantly improved, and obviously some of the new grain types. So let's head out and start exploring the new parts of the map. So over here, now we've extended, so this right here would have been like the end of Goldcrest Valley. This would have been the edge of the map. So now we're extending out past this. You see we've got more rail lines coming in, and there's a transfer station here. You're going to see more transfer stations around the map. Over here, we've got this building here. This is the warehouse. So I'll get a little lower here. We can take a look at it. And the warehouse accepts pallets of various goods, and we'll kind of get into this here in a little bit, but this is kind of the sale point for some of the more unique stuff in the game that you can make. And so we'll keep heading up here, and if you notice, we're kind of heading into another town. So this is actually a larger town. It's basically the town in Goldcrest Valley map times 2, with a few extra things plugged in it here and there and stuck together. So we have a few sale points here. There's another grain sale point here next to this other Denton bakery. And then we've got, let's see, we've got another wool sale point up here. We've got another gas station. We've got another grain sale point here at this other Denton bakery. And we've got another gas station, and this is actually like a vehicle shop, so I think you can do modifications and stuff to vehicles at that shop. This is kind of a neat building here, definitely worth exploring. This is the Pleasant Valley Museum, and you can actually go in this building and walk around, and there's tributes to people who have contributed to the Pleasant Valley project inside here. So it's kind of a neat building worth looking around. We've got another wool sale point over here. We've got another Morgan's Massive Motors. However, you can't buy equipment here. You can only sell and do maintenance on equipment, or modifications on them here. And somewhere over here, trying to find, here we go. This is another little important building. Let me come in for a landing. All right, so this building here is your pallet production facility, and let me bring up F1. So you put board pallets in, and it produces pallets. And so remember, board pallets are what the sawmill makes. It's a big bundle of lumber. And then you put that in here, and this will actually make stacks of pallets. And we'll need those for something else. So we'll see that when we get there. Alright, so then we'll keep heading through town here. There's one more thing I wanted to show you. Here we go. So this is the compost master. This is pretty standard. It's been around for a while in a lot of different mod maps. You can basically put organics into it, which I haven't looked at this specific one, but they typically accept like straw, hay, grass, wood chips, sometimes manure, like solid manure, and you put fuel in it, and then it produces compost, which it's going to store in that silo, and then you can fill a trailer with it. And again, like pallets, we'll kind of see here in a little bit what that's actually used for. So we'll keep heading through town here. We got another Morgan's Massive Motors over here. Again, you can do upgrades to your machines, but you can't actually buy any there. Alright, over here we've got kind of another lumber area. So you can drop off lumber or timber, like trees. You can drop off trees over here, and this will produce board pallets. And again, you need to put wood chips in this container here, and it uses that as fuel, and then it will actually produce wood chips while it's running over here. I'm not too sure how that production works out, if it produces enough to keep it running or if you have to supply extra, but if you do have to supply extra, there's this little section over here which has got a couple of these prefab blocks on the ground, and these that trough there, and then this thing here. So there's a mod wood chipper that's like a giant wood chipper that can go under there, and then I think the trailer style gens can go in here. I'm not too sure, but basically this one allows you to just like drive a dump truck up here and just dump the wood into it, and it falls down in and chips it. And then this one allows you to put longer sections of trees in, and it helps them feed into the chippers. But then back here you've got this placeable wood chipper, which you can just put, you can either dump a trailer load in there or put the long pieces of wood in there, and it will chip everything up and spit out wood chips. So I'm not necessarily, I guess it's just personal preference which one of the methods of wood chips you want to do, but this will help you produce wood chips up here. And if you notice, there is a lot of trees on this map. So we've got a pretty good swath of trees over here. We've got this valley over here that's full of trees. You got this ridge line here that's full of trees. This section here, we'll kind of climb up over this. This is the actual Goldcrest Valley stock forestry area that's north of Field 5. And then we've got this whole section of trees over here. And we've got all these trees. Just tons and tons and tons of trees. And, sections like this I kind of like, because it was hard to log the ridge lines and then like replant the trees on the ridge lines. But this valley down here, it'd be pretty easy to come through and log this and then come back through with the sapling planter and replant that valley with trees so that you could keep logging that area. And that way you don't have to actually use this area over here is kind of the same way. And this way you don't have to actually use fields and convert them into forests. While we're doing the walkthrough, you will notice the road glitching. That is just because I'm flying. If I come in lower like this, you don't actually see the road glitch. So at a normal height. This is another thing I really like about this map, and we'll talk more about the train system later, but my biggest complaint with Goldcrest Valley is that they put in these 2 loops of trains on a map, and they're relatively small loops, and the transfer stations are kind of clunky, and then on top of that, there's only 1 sale point. So for the most part, it's like, why bother, right? But in here, we'll see more of these. There's quite a few more train-only sale points. So we'll keep heading over this way. And we got one neat thing up here on this ridge line that we'll go in and check out. So this is Popcorn Sutton's Short Mountain Distillery. And you put corn, say Popcorn Sutton's Tennessee White Whiskey, and you put sugar cane and water, and it will produce inside here pallets of moonshine. So I really like this facility, especially being, Kentucky farmer and all. We're kind of known for our moonshine in these parts. So I think this is a really cool facility. I did test this out, and the only complaint I have about it is, well, I got 2 complaints. The first one is the sale price. The sale price when I was playing was averaging on hard at about $600 per ton, which is 1,000 liters, and that's not how much moonshine sells for. So that should be probably closer to 6,000 per 100 liters of moonshine. So it's quite a bit lower than I think it should be. The other complaint I have is just a YouTube video production thing. If I wind up using this in a video while it's running, apparently the ghost of Popcorn Sutton is up here plucking away on his banjo and plays the first couple of notes of Sweet Home Alabama. And so I'll have to be careful to cut out the audio if I'm up here and this is running, so that I don't get a copyright strike on YouTube. But I love the fact that it's hidden up here on the mountain. There's a really long, windy road to get up here that just kind of like snakes over here and down here and down here through the mountain. So it's a little challenging to find it and get up there. Here's one of the next things that's pretty cool, and we got a train going by. This is the gravel pit quarry. So let me come in for a landing here, or at least come a little bit lower. And you can see that you have this ground texture here, but then we have this slightly different texture here. This is actually a giant pile of gravel. And I'm not too sure, but based on what I read in the forums, there's approximately 65 million liters of gravel sitting here. And so you can come in with a front loader and you can actually park a train here and you can load the train with gravel. I also experimented with belts, and for the most part the belts work. It's just the little one that does the initial pickup off the ground for some reason doesn't work with it. At least I couldn't get it to work. There's a few other things. Apparently someone had modified, I haven't found it yet, but someone modified this Terrafellis 2 Multi-Eco to actually pick the gravel up off the ground. So I'll look for a modified version of that. Apparently it should be pretty easy. You just add it as a type to the mod as far as something it can pick up. And then you could use that to start picking this up and then have it dump it on a series of conveyors that takes it over to the train. So it could be neat. All right, let's keep flying here. Again, we've got this quite a pretty significant area of trees over here. And then down here, we've got greenhouses. So let me come in a little bit lower here. So we've got 4 vegetable ones. We've got, I think this is lettuce and tomato, red cabbage, and cauliflower. And all the greenhouses work on the same basic principle. And this thing over here, that little green area there, you put compost, and you put water in that tank, and you put pallets. Remember from earlier, we had the pallet production facility. You put empty pallets over there, and then over time, it will produce pallets with the actual crops on them. And then you can come and load up those pallets and take them over to that warehouse that we looked at earlier and sell them. And then over here we've got, I believe that's raspberries and strawberries. And again, they work on the same principle as the other ones. So let's keep going this way. So now over here we've got some more fields. Nice big, rectangular, clear headland fields over here. Pretty nice. We've got a transfer station to transfer between these 2 rail lines. And you actually do start off owning field 35 over here, which this looks like, let's come in for a landing. This is mustard. So we have this farm over here, and I kind of dubbed this the East Farm. And this is more of like a normal grain production farm. You have Sampo Rosenlu, some barns, another independent grain storage facility. So the grain stored in here isn't tied to the other ones, but it works the same. Got a tractor and a seeder and a cultivator, and then in here we've got another tractor with a tipper and a plow. And if you notice, every farm now has its own BGA. And these BGAs are a little bit different because you've got the one silage clamp, and you've got your digestate tanks, and you've got this BGA facility. But if you notice, there are 2 silo kings. And the reason for that is this one's the sale point. So if you put it in here, you're making money. This one is for fuel production. So if you put it in here, you're making fuel that actually gets stored in this tank over here. And then you can use this fuel to refill your tractors. So I think that's a pretty neat feature that you can actually produce that on your own. Then you got a normal sale barn up here where you can sell your grass or silage or whatever. A little house over here. So that's basically it for this. And we got, some more fields. Here's field 40. That's probably, looks like millet. Yeah, millet. It's kind of hard to tell the difference between millet and sorghum. Now, we've got another big kind of forestry area here. Lots of trees. Tons and tons and tons of trees on this map. And over here, we've got another wood sale point. And we've got another board pallet sawmill. So this works just like the one that they changed in the Goldcrest Valley map that we looked at earlier. And we've got this sale point here. So again, this is a railroad only sale point, but what's different about this one is this is one of 2 sale points where you can sell sand and gravel. So we already looked at the gravel production area, and we'll get to the sand one here in a little bit. Let's keep heading south here. All right, so now we've got this area here. I don't know if they left this clear because they're going to put buildings and facilities over here or something else, but basically this is a giant section of free grass. So you don't get the benefit of fertilization and things like that, but it's a giant field of free grass. So you could come over here and mow this or bale it or whatever you want to do with it. And we'll pop over this ridge line here. And now we've got just a giant section of timber over here. So tons and tons more trees. And we've got this. This is kind of interesting. I like this. So they built a swamp, and you notice it's filled with dead trees, which is pretty cool. We'll come a little bit lower here. But if you notice, we got something else going on here too. You can see the ground texture here is a little bit different. And this stuff here, this is actually silt. So this is kind of like the gravel in the gravel pit. You can come over here and you can dig this up, and the silt is used in the production of fertilizer. So we'll go check that out here in a little bit. But basically, it's like all over. It's in the middle, you know. And this pond is shallow enough all the way across that you can basically drive equipment through here. Now, I drove the pickup truck through it, and the water actually comes up to the roof of the pickup truck, but it's not deep enough that the game like thinks the vehicle is stuck and locks you out or something. Like, you can drive through the whole thing. So you could probably bring a Scorpion King in here and cut out some of the timber, or bring, you know, a front loader in here and dig out the silt. You should be able to get through the whole pond. So then we'll get a little bit higher here and keep looking around. Here we've got 2 more fields. I'm not too sure what this one is. Oh, that's just canola. That's the stock canola. And this looks like barley. Let's pop over this ridge here. Alright, so now we're at another farm area. This I called the Southern Farm. And like most of the other ones, you've got your own silo over here. You've got a couple extra storage buildings. You've got a dedicated BGA for this one, again with the 2 Silo Kings. So this one will produce fuel, this one will give you income. You got your digestate, you got your sale point for wheat and straw, or straw and grass, and you got some more starting equipment over here. So you've got a tractor with a front loader and a bucket, a mower, and the little Euro Boss collecting wagon, and a pickup truck. And you start off owning field 52 over here, which is this giant grass field. So right off the bat, you could come down here, mow this grass field, and put it in the silo and start producing silage and then selling it and making money down here at this farm. This farm's nice because this also has quite a few big fields down here that you can expand into. Nice big, relatively flat, so it'd be good for hay production. You don't have to worry about bales rolling. This is a whole lot of sugar beets over here. Let's see, what is this? Looks like, is that yeah, that's sugar cane. Okay. That's sunflowers. Here is another one of these sale points. This is the southern sale point for on the rail line. A few more nice big fields. Let's see, that is probably, is it soybeans? No, that's either oats or rye. Again, it uses the same plant, so it's kind of hard to tell the difference. And let's see, we already looked at these. So we'll pop over this ridgeline here, and here you go. This is field 56. So this is now the largest field in the game. It's about 17 hectares. So it's, what is that, like 30% bigger than field 5 in the stock Goldcrest Valley map. So pretty decent sized field. Nice big flat field, no obstructions. Then we've got this big grass area over here. I would imagine they've probably left this area clear and will eventually be putting some of the, production stuff over here. We've got another area here which just has some barns and this rail transfer point and kind of a clear yard. There's really nothing going on over here yet. So I imagine that's going to be one of the areas that they'll expand into. Got 2 more fields over here. Let's see, what is this one? It's just little sunflowers and soybeans. And let's head back over this way. Alright, so here's field 56, and so if we keep heading kind of south, you know, so we've got another area of timber here. So this is another one of those nice little valleys where you could kind of come through and log out the whole valley and then run a sapling planter and replant it when you're done. So I really like these areas around the map, and there's just tons of logging. We've got another big open area here. I imagine they'll put something here eventually, but right now it's just a big gravel flat lot. So if you had placeables you wanted to put there, you could. We've got this area here with some fields, and in theory you could plow these 4 together. If you bought all 4 of them, you could probably make one massive field down here. Let's come in for a landing here and check out this field. I believe, yes, so this is actually coffee. So coffee is a type that they added. Again, we've got another forestry area here. And we got some more fields. What is this? Cotton. So we got some cotton. And I kind of think that's hemp. And here we have the West Farm. Again, it should start looking familiar by now. You got a couple of barns, you got a dedicated silo, you got the silage clamp, you got the digestate, you got the dedicated BGA with the 2 sale points, one for making fuel, one for selling. And you got the barn up here for selling your straw and your grass. And you got the little farmhouse over here. Here is a field of lavender. And I haven't actually tried mowing this yet, but apparently you use a disc cutter on a forage harvester to cut the lavender. And I guess it's like grass in the sense that once you mow it, it will grow back. And over here you start off owning this field, field 63. And let's see what is on here right now. That looks like sunflowers, okay. And let's check out your starting equipment here. So this one's a little bit different. It's interesting that you own a field of sunflowers, but your starting equipment is actually all logging. So this is like your basic entry level to logging. You got a tractor with the Stepa, and you've got this little JCB skid steer with a log fork and the stump grinder and a pickup truck. So this is your intro to logging setup over here. And we'll keep heading up this way. And we've got, that's probably millet. And this pond is actually mostly full. So it's a little bit here. But this is mostly full of sand. And so like the other pond where the silt was, it's relatively shallow. So you can run equipment through here, and then you can dig up the sand and you can go sell it. But eventually, I'm sure the sand will be used as a component. You know, sand and gravel and water mixed together, you can make concrete and stuff like that. So, and again, I think there's supposed to be 65 million liters of it over here, and it doesn't regenerate, but they did say that there's basically one file in your save game that if you back it up, you can, if you run out, you can put the file back in restore that file, and it will put all the sand back, and you can keep going. And then over here, what is this? Is this mustard? Okay. We'll keep heading up here. Eventually I need to cut over. Yeah, let's go ahead and come back a little bit here. We'll backtrack a bit. So one thing I wanted to point out, we've got this 4-lane road here, and it ends at that dead-end tunnel just like in the stock game. But what's different from the stock game is we've got this 4-way intersection here. We'll come back to that. We've got this tunnel here. So this is actually a tunnel, and that's where it transitions from the stock Goldcrest Valley into the expanded Pleasant Valley. And so you can actually drive through that tunnel to get over here. And then at this road here, if you go left, it kind of heads down to the bottom of the map and just ends down there. If you go straight, it goes to the west end of the map and ends there. If you go north, it will actually take you all the way up to that new town that's up at the north end of the map that we looked at first, and then it keeps going all the way down to like where the gravel pit and the greenhouses are. So we've got this building here I wanted to show you. This building is one of the production buildings that takes, some of this is mixed up if you're looking at the screen here. The products and the resources are not in the right order. So the product is actually fertilizer, and the resources is silt and digestate. So we already showed that you can get silt from the swamp area. And then digestate's what you get from your BGA or from the liquid manure from your livestock, I believe works the same. And you put those in here, and then over time it will actually produce dry fertilizer. So one of the neat things about that is right here, since silt is one of the components, there's another swamp where you can mine silt out of here. So we'll pop back over this ridge and we'll keep going up this way. So we've got this little field over here, which was mustard. We already looked at that one. And we can follow this road up, and now we've got 2 more of these buildings. So let's come in here, we'll take a look at these. You have this building over here, which is going to take grain, which should be any of the normal grains, so like wheat, barley, corn, stuff like that. And then fertilizer, which we saw we can make at the other facility, and it will produce seeds. So then you can actually make seeds instead of buying seeds here. And then this building takes water and fertilizer, which we made at the other facility, and will actually make liquid fertilizer for us. So if you need liquid fertilizer, you can produce it here instead of buying it. We'll fly back up here. And now you can see we've got some more fields. So here's field 73. You actually own this field, and it's planted in corn and ready to harvest. And you got field 74 here that's planted in corn and it'll be ready to harvest pretty soon. And this is the kind of the northwest farm. And this one is a little more BGA centric than some of the other ones in the sense that it's got 2 clamps for the silage. And we still have the dedicated BGA facility up here with the 2 silo kings. One will produce fuel, one will sell it, and you got the digestate tank. And we've got that little barn there and this little barn here, and we'll come in for a landing. And you can see you start off with a tractor with a bucket and a little trailer, and you've got the Pottinger Mex 5, and you've got this little Amazon ED3000C for doing row crops so you can plant more corn. And you got a plow and a cultivator and a pickup truck. So you have all the equipment you need to get into corn chaff production up here. This is all the entry level equipment for that. So we'll go ahead and fly back up here again. And you've got a couple more fields up here. Nice, decent sized fields. So plenty of room to expand up here. And then with that, we're back down here at the town. So that is the basic overview of the map. We'll pop over this ridgeline here and head back to the barn, our main farm area. All right, here we go. Come in for a landing. So I want to look at a couple other things here now that we've gotten to see the whole map. So looking at it from the overview here, a few things I want to point out. So this map is probably a really good map for multiplayer use, because if you really think about it, you've got the normal main farm here, the right barn, so you got that, and then you've got this new farm area down here by the cattle, so that's 2. You got this Evans farm over here, so that's 3. You've got the Johnson farm down here, which is 4. Roberts, which is 5. And Allen Farm, which is 6. So you basically have 6 farms. And you could do, in theory, you could have like a 7th player doing timber and even an 8th player doing pallet production, greenhouse management, and you'll have to do compost in there with that, right? Kind of working this area up here. So there's so much to do on this map that you could easily keep, an 8-player multiplayer game going on this, and everyone can basically have their own area that they go run while they're playing, and so it's a really neat map. The other thing I wanted to point out here is the train lines. So we went from having 2 train lines in the stock Goldcrest Valley to actually having 3. So we'll kind of try and follow these around. They might be a little hard to see here. You've got this northeast line. We'll start here at North Mill and follow it around. So it comes down here, goes through the gravel pit, goes past the greenhouses, comes down. There's a transfer station here where you can transfer with the southeast line, and then it loops back around, comes into the stock Goldcrest Valley map, loops down around through here, has the transfer station by field 11, and then keeps going up past the warehouses. There's a transfer station up here where you can transfer again to the western line, and then loops around town here and back up to the North Mill. And then we have this western line here that will start at the Maplefield Mill drop-off point, and it comes up and loops around south of the northern town here. We have that transfer point where you can transfer to the northeast line. It'll loop around, come down to the sawmill and the normal Goldcrest Valley sawmill. Then we go through the transfer point here at field 11 and loops down and around to this transfer point down here by Dawson's, and then loops around and comes up past the sand pit and then back to Maplefield Mill. And then down here we've got the southeastern line, and we'll start here at Brown's, and it kind of comes down past the swamp and loops around to Dawson's, which is a sale point for sand and gravel. And then we get the transfer point here by Dawson's with the western line. And then it kind of loops back down around the south end of the map, and there's the southern sale point is actually here. It's not pictured on the map, but there's actually a sale point here. And then it comes back up around these fields, and then there's this transfer point here with the northeastern line, and then it continues back down to Brown's, which is again the sale point for sand and gravel, the second sale point for sand and gravel. So that's how the railroad system works. I really like that feature of this map. I love that they work. I love that they've got 3 lines. They actually take a while to drive a full loop because there's so much more distance to cover. There's more sale points. There's, like, if you want to sell sand and gravel, you have to use a train. You can't use trucks to do it. Like, it's just not an option. So I love that about this map, that the trains are actually given a purpose now. So the next thing we want to talk about here, we'll talk about types. And so we've got all of our stock types. That's all normal stuff there. And then we've got some new ones here. So this is sugarcane. This is sorghum. So we've got sugarcane. This is sorghum. We have oats. This is oat windrow, which basically once you collect it or bale it is straw. I think it's differentiated because I think the yield is different than wheat and barley. Then this is rye, and this is rye windrow. Again, same thing as the oat windrow. Mustard, peanuts, millet, lavender, cotton, hemp, coffee, carrots. And then we've got our sand, silt, and gravel. You can't sell silt, but you can use silt in the production of fertilizer. And I'm not too sure, but it would kind of make sense if you could put silt in the composter too, but I don't know. I haven't tried that. I believe this is the icon for compost. I could be wrong. That could be seed. I'm not too sure about that one. And then we've got tomatoes, pallets, lettuce, cauliflower, red cabbage, strawberries, raspberries, and moonshine. So with these types here, the only place where you can sell them is the warehouse. And again, my biggest complaint is that this number should be like 10 times that. So, yeah. Now, this is where this is going to get interesting. So you start off with the normal starting equipment, which is the really old high-hour equipment at the main farm. And you start off with all this other equipment that's relatively, well, it's all 0 day, 1 day. So, but that's a lot of equipment. That's going to be a really high daily maintenance cost right off the bat. And starting off on hard, like, it's going to be a really rough start. And so, you know, it's tough because you have the equipment to keep, you know, like we said, probably 8 people busy, right? Like, you could literally have this thing on a multiplayer server and just right off the bat hit the ground running. Everyone's out working, and you'll be making enough money to pay for all of this equipment then. If you decide to play this as a single player game, it's going to be really tough to pay for all this equipment. But what you could do is just prioritize and say, well, I don't want this, that, and the other stuff. And you could just go sell a bunch of the equipment. And then you'll wind up with, you know, like, you sell the Sam Fortis, right? $100,000. Boom. Like, you know, sell... Trying to see what else we got here. This one New Holland T5. Go sell that. $61,000, right? Yeah, a Massey Ferguson 5600. Go sell that. $64,000. Sell one of these Sampo Rosenlus. There's 92. I think you got at least 2 of them. Plus the case that you start with. I mean, or sell the case that you start with so that you don't have that maintenance cost, and then use the Sampo Rosenlus. Now, part of the reason why you have so much equipment is on a 4X map, you're not going to be driving a harvester from one end of the map to the other. Like, maybe if you had a semi on a flatbed, yeah, kind of see it, but you're going to want, at each one of the farms, you're going to want a set of equipment to work all the fields that surround it and not be swapping equipment from one side to the other. Now, maybe with some of your big expensive stuff, like if you're using the was it the Terrados or the T4 harvester, some of that stuff right off the bat, yeah, you may be kind of moving it around as you need it. Or, logging, you could move your logging equipment from one spot to another as you're logging, but you're probably not going to make a habit of driving the equipment around because it just takes forever on this map to relocate stuff from one spot to another. And as you can see, you start off $100,000 in debt with $15,000 in your bank account. And let's check this. I'm pretty sure you start off with nothing in inventory. Yeah, so you're completely wiped out. No stock, no reserves of anything. Which is normal for hard. Obviously, no livestock. So, yeah. And I believe all the fields... Yeah, so all the fields basically need to be plowed. It's kind of interesting that this area down here where these trees are, and then this area up here, there's some trees, and here, and right here, and I'm trying to think where else. I guess here, because there's no field numbers. Some of those areas where the trees are, it's considering fields. I'm not sure if that would make it easier to replant those trees using a hired worker to run the seed planter or the sapling planter. So, what's my takeaway on this map? I really like the fact that the core is the stock Goldcrest Valley map, and it's just expanded to give you more stuff to do. I think it would be great in multiplayer. I'm not too sure about using it for single player. It would be a lot of work, or you would just have to, make a couple concessions. There are definitely some enhancements to it that I really like. I love the way that the livestock areas have been changed for sheep, pig, and cow. Really helps with the playability of that. So, one of the reasons why I wanted to do a review of this map is because I'm seriously considering basically shifting my Let's Play series from the stock Goldcrest Valley map to this map. And what I mean by that is I'll try and, as close as I can, structure this transition so that, like, I own the same fields, I own the same equipment, I have the same number of livestock and stuff like that, and just move from using the stock Goldcrest Valley to using this Pleasant Valley. In fact, I'll probably even, most of this transition I'll do by modifying the save game files, but I'll probably actually obviously sell all the equipment that's there and just repurchase the equipment that I'm currently using in Goldcrest Valley and put it all where it's supposed to be. And then I'll probably go through and sell field 73, 35, 52, 28, 63, all those ones that I obviously don't own. And then, just kind of put my bank account balance basically back where it's supposed to be and then go from there, and just quit using the stock one. And, that's it. I feel like it's possible to make a move like that because the core one is the same map. Now, one of the things that I'll have to do differently is I had modified the layouts of field 23 and 22, and I modified field 11. Because this is a map that they're actively working on and making changes to, I'm pretty sure I can't change the field shapes anymore. I'll have to leave all the field shapes the way that they are. So that'll be one difference. The other one will be I'm not terribly worried about having fields with trees anymore, since there's so much logging everywhere else on this map. So I'll probably ditch my fields with trees, and I'll go back to not having modified field shapes anymore, because as they release updates to the map, when I apply the update to the map that I'm using, I would lose all those changes. As far as I know, if I'm remembering this correctly, right, I would lose my modified field shapes, and it's pretty hard to bring over planted trees, I think. So yeah, so that's kind of what I'm looking at doing. So in addition to showing everyone this map and how the map works, I kind of wanted to gather feedback from my regular viewers who actually watch my Goldcrest Valley series. Would this be, to you guys, would this be an interesting move? Would you like to see me move to the Pleasant Valley map and start, basically just keep my progression, right? Just keep doing it in this map now. And that, that gives me the ability to expand out. We can do different things. I can go make moonshine. I'm really excited about the prospect of making moonshine, if you can't tell. So, and just absolutely love the changes that they've made to the livestock areas. So that's the other big thing for me, is to have that done. So, and the other nice thing is, because now this is a third-party map instead of the stock map, if there is something about the map that just absolutely bugs me, like it's modified, but the pig pallet food production thing, right? Like, I can always just crack open Giant's Editor and delete that out. And even if I keep getting updates of the map that might still have the thing in there, every time I get an update I can just crack open the map, delete that one thing out, merge the changes back into the one that I'm playing with, and keep going. So I don't think it'll be an issue. So leave a comment below, let me know what you think. Should I transition into this map? I'm kind of got my videos timed. I still have quite a few videos recorded that haven't been released yet, but I think I've got them timed down to where when this video comes out, I'll probably have one more game on Goldcrest Valley stock, and then depending on the feedback of this one, that will determine whether or not I switch over to this map. But as of right now, I'm pretty pretty sure I want to go ahead and make the switch to this one. So, but let me know what you think. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, would you give it a thumbs up? If you have any questions or comments, like should I or should I not start using this map, feel free to leave those below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe for more farming simulator videos. I'm Kentucky Farmer. Thanks for watching.